Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, America's #1 trusted resource for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Starring award-winning real estate coaches Tim and Julie Harris. Get ready for unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money in this new real estate boom. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
So, Julie, I have a question for you. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Shoot.
Okay, good. Caught you on mute, didn't I? So I have a question for you. Do you and I shy away from controversy?
No.
Not just no, hell no, especially if what we're going to talk about is in the best interest of the individual practitioner, specifically the individual listing agent. You and I embrace controversy if it's going to result in making the lives of our listeners and our coaching students and all of our future coaching students easier, correct?
That's right. Absolutely. Every time.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about something very controversial, something that's going to get
warning.
a lot of people, warning, something that's going to get a lot of people tweeting, Facebooking, commenting. And you know what, guys? What we're going to share with you today is what we believe to be the future of paid buyer lead generation and frankly, the demise of it. And there it is. And we're going to talk to you specifically why. Those of you who are dependent on buying buyer leads are going to find if you stay on that path of thinking you can build your business around buying buyer leads, you're going to very clearly see that not only is that path going to be wrought with all kinds of terror, but it's financially not even going to be relevant anymore. You're literally not going to be able to rationalize buying the buyer leads a lot of you guys have been buying. And there's so many of you, thousands of you. We're the most listened to radio show in the real estate coaching space, as far as I know, the real estate industry. We're the most listened to radio show that there is. And so many of you have only known how to buy buyer leads. And so on this radio show, our goal is to give you a window into what the future, and by future, I don't mean 100 years from now, I mean the next 6 to 12 months, what we expect to have happen. And I'm going to give you the exact ammunition, in other words, the proof, so you'll believe us, so you can take action on it, so you'll know exactly what to do. So on today's radio show, we're going to tell you what's going to happen next with buying buyer leads, specifically from Zulia. We termed that combining the two. Julie and I were the first ones to come up with that. Now you see everyone else is using it, which is great. Everyone's entitled to use it. It's a good name. We're going to show you exactly what we expect to have happen now that News Corp owns Move.com, now that News Corp owns, most importantly, ListHub, and now that News Corp now controls Realtor.com. We're going to tell you guys exactly what to expect and exactly, in our opinions, what will happen next. Now, before we get to that, Julie and I have been on the phone for at least a few hours today on coaching calls. And, Julie, I have to say the new students that we're attracting to us are I'm impressed with 99% of them.
Me too.
I heard you on a coaching
crowd.
Yeah, I know. You know what, though? When is the last time you just had a coaching call, a free coaching call, or a new student show up in your schedule, or enroll and become a student of one of our other coaches who wasn't already on their way? In other words, the days of being able to get into the real estate business and kind of wing it are over, because the people getting into the business now, oh my God, they got their acts together. We're having coaching calls with people. Yeah, I mean, you had some calls like that today. Share with our listeners some of the types of folks that we see getting into the real estate business and why that should be a huge wake-up call for the industry.
Well, I am personally coaching now 4 or 5 accountants who are prospecting their accounting clients and have seen opportunity with real estate just as a basis of their business. I've got a couple of airline pilots or laid-off airline pilots. Today, one of my new students is someone who has a great sales background already, just wants to expand into real estate and replace his previous sales income. So these are not just, people off the street. These guys have it together, And really now what we're seeing is getting to the next level, not just starting out and what do I do, how do I get a lead. It's how do I build a business? How do I actually make this not just viable career, but a rockin' career? And I love their excitement. I mean, I got to say, you don't have to worry about much motivation here, not with this batch.
Well, the biggest difference, though, because these guys, a lot of them do have professional backgrounds, is they have the expectation of working consistently. And that's something that we have to work on, those of you who've never had discipline-type backgrounds. It's very normal to have somebody who's never had a job before, never had a boss before, never had any kind of accountability before, get a real estate license. You guys are surrounded by them, and some of you are probably just very similar to that description yourselves. And, you know, when you have a coaching client like that, if they're not very, very clear about what they're trying to accomplish, if they're not very, very clear that the key to success, and everyone who listens to us every day, you guys know we always say this, the key to long-term success is doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level, doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. Never forget that. That is the key to success. That actually predetermines everything else that comes after that. Every other action you take is all determined on whether or not you internalize that your success comes from doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. So many of us in the industry have avoided just those very things, right? We got into real estate because we didn't want to have to do what we didn't want to do when we didn't want to do it, and sure as heck not at the highest level. So when you guys are in the marketplace where you're seeing folks that are coming from having to work consistently at a high level as an airline pilot or as a defense contractor, as a, you know, it doesn't matter what, they are not.
Oh, you know what? That reminded me, Tim. Sorry, it reminds me of a call I just had with somebody that works for FedEx, and their comment was, "Working for FedEx, I really don't have an issue with doing things on time." I just thought that was a funny comment.
That's hilarious.
You know? So
yeah,
just
well,
for
but
example.
I mean, people that have had real, I'll say it, jobs in the past, and they come to real estate, they don't have the issues with discipline that the rest of the industry does. And
so
just
true.
the very fact that they show up on time, they do really fast lead follow-up, they're used to having a schedule, they're used to doing the things that they don't want to do when they don't want to do them at the highest level, or they got fired. Guys, industry, heads up, those people are going to clean house. They just are, because they don't have all the issues with, oh, I'm going to hang out and play Facebook all day, I'm going to play Farmville, I'm going to go on Realtor Tour, I'm going to do all these other time-wasting things that our industry just loves to, you know, essentially tell agents to do. These guys, we have a free coaching call with them. It could be somebody that's been in the business for a year or two. They're, you know, maybe they still have their jobs, or maybe they're, you know, they've retired, or maybe they're quitting their jobs because they want to do something completely different. But they have the discipline. They have the mindset that it's the education that gets them further down the road faster. And, you know, they aren't these types of agents that are constantly looking for the bright, shiny, you know, light to show the path. They're willing to put in the effort. They're willing to put in the time. They realize on the other side of that are unbelievable profits. So you guys that are in the industry and you're not realizing that you are now going to be competing against a different variety of agents, certainly a different variety of agents than I've ever seen in the industry in the past 20-plus years, you're going to have a real wake-up call come spring of 2015, because these guys are going to rock it. They are very professional. They, you know, it just is what it is. The industry is evolving as it should. You better sure as heck be evolving right along with it. Or if you don't, you are choosing to struggle. You are choosing to fail. So here's your heads up. We're telling you, we're warning you, we're letting you know that there is a change in the wind that's happening with the nature of the folks that are getting into this business. Julie and I are the canaries in the coal mine for many of you, letting you know what's coming next. So please take that very seriously. And so for those of you who are involved in our coaching, I ask all of you, or as your coach, how do I say it nicely? I insist that all of you drill down now and get into your 90-day massive action plan to focus on real estate coaching essentials and making sure that you're mastering at least 2 or 3 things between now and the end of the year. Really understand that your spring of 2015 has already commenced. It's already started. The relationships that you're forming now, the listings that you're taking now, the buyers that you're getting pre-approved now, those guys probably won't pay you until January or February of 2015. But guess what? As our wonderful broker back when Julie and I first got our real estate license, I used to say, Rory Averill, you'll need money then too, won't you? That's right. Remember he used to say that?
Yes, I do. I have his voice in my head.
Oh, exactly. Oh, they bought new construction. It won't be done in 6 months. And he'd always go, Well, you'll need money then too, won't you?
Exactly, and he's
Anyway.
right.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, the controversial topic that I know all of you guys are ready to listen to, and the topic and the title is, Are You Ready? Is this the end of Zulia as we know it? So, Mr. Producer, this is a good time to drop in the commercial.
According to the National Association of Realtors, only 10% of agents complete an amazing 90% of all transactions because they have a coach. If you want the production and performance that comes with being a top producer, then you need one too. Not just any coach, but the leaders in coaching today, Tim and Julie Harris. Don't just take our word for it. Listen to what HGTV star and Atlanta top producer Colette McDonald has to say.
Hi, my name is Colette McDonald, and I'm with RE/MAX in Atlanta, Georgia. I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to Tim and Julie Harris. I've been a coaching client of theirs for the last 4 years. When I first started in this business 12 years ago, I was very successful, did a great amount of business, averaged between 8 and 10 million a year. When I contracted with Tim and Julie to be my graduate level coaches, my production increased by 20% per year. I am now trending 30 million this year. That's amazing results over 4 years of working with Tim and Julie Harris. I highly recommend them. Tiger Woods has a coach. And why does he have a coach? Because he can't see his swing. If you do what they tell you to, you will see huge results. I am living proof.
Only Tim and Julie Harris provide powerful one-on-one coaching along with all the lead generation systems, scripts, presentations, team building, and business planning tools you need to dominate your real estate market. We offer affordable pricing with no long-term contracts, and our entire coaching staff are trained professional agents with top producing track records. Take action now and visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. There's no risk, no obligation, just a free, personal, one-on-one call with a trained professional coach. Join the elite 10% of agents who make all the difference in today's market. Visit freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com.
So here's the premise of today's radio show, and I'm going to read to you 3 questions that I wrote down, and then Julie's going to read something that we found on Inman, and then we're going to give you a specific plan of attack. So there's really 3 parts to today's radio show. So here's the questions I wrote down. Here are the questions I wrote down. Number 1, if you were News Corp, you're Rupert Murdoch, congratulations, you're now really, really wealthy, and you just spent $1 billion to buy Move.com, which owns ListHub and manages Realtor.com, would you continue to provide the listings data to Zulia? So I'm gonna let me set that up in case real quick in case you guys aren't familiar. Move.com owns ListHub. ListHub has exclusive relationships with, I believe, 800 MLSs across the United States. Those MLSs provide the listing data to ListHub. ListHub then sells that data to, I think it's like 150 or 200 different portals that feature the information. It might even be more than that. I'm not really sure on that. But the 2 prominent ones are Trulia and Zillow. So in other words, the information, the very listings, the lifeblood, the whole reason that anyone goes to Zillow or Trulia is the fact that they're looking at listings data. If those sites don't have the listings data, your listings data, listing agents, what happens to those sites? So the theory is here that's being floated around is if you were News Corp and you just spent $1 billion to buy Move.com and your biggest competitor now was Zulia because the combining of the 2 companies, whatever they end up calling themselves, doesn't it make sense that one of the first things that you would do to paralyze those 2 companies basically and to make your now $1 billion you spent on Move.com, which manages Realtor.com, wouldn't be one of the first things you would do is cut off the listings data, i.e. cut off the listings feed data from ListHub to Zulia? Isn't that what you would do? The second question I wrote down, if News Corp stops or greatly diminishes the quality of the listing feed to Zulia, what will consumers continue to go to Zulia over Realtor.com for property data? I just answered that question in my previous statement, and the answer is obviously no. Question number 3 I wrote down, if you're an agent who's dependent on buying buyer leads and this happens, what will that happen? What will that result in? What will happen to your business? So if you're in any way dependent on buying buyer leads from Zillow or Trulia, I get stumped on my own term. If you're dependent on buying buyer leads from even Realtor.com, if you're buying buyer leads from anybody and what we're proposing happens, which I can't see it why it won't, what is that going to do to your business going into next year? I'm trying to prepare you guys, current students and future students. I'm trying to open up your eyes to something that we believe is going to happen, and we don't want any of you to suffer, and we're going to do everything in our power to make it so that you're aware that this is most likely going to take place in the next 6 to 12 months, and are you ready? So, Julie, this is something I found on Inman. You guys, if you don't read Inman news features, they oftentimes have really great articles written by really brilliant folks. So on Inman News Features, I cut this out and dropped it into our notes for today's radio show. So, Jules, go ahead.
All right. So, again, from Inman, they write, with Zillow's planned acquisition of Trulia and News Corp's pending acquisition of Move.com, real estate consumers and the industry will see two formidable competitors duke it out for their attention. Zillow has been working hard to improve its relationships with the industry to secure more direct feeds with brokers and MLSs that will help it improve the accuracy of its listing database. The porter has established Zillow Pro for brokers and the Zillow Partnership platform to give brokers and MLSs perks like branding in exchange for direct feeds. Currently, in some markets, Zillow gets listings from multiple sources, including brokerages, franchisors, agents, and syndicators, a mix that can hamper its database's timeliness and accuracy. Move, on the other hand, operates Realtor.com under an exclusive agreement with NAR, National Association of Realtors. That connection and its status as NAR's official consumer website help it maintain direct feeds with more than 800 MLSs across the U.S. So, Tim, now that they're informed, what does an agent do about all this?
Well, so what is Zillow doing about it? Obviously, they're doing a lot of hiring. They're doing a lot of everything that they can to try to usurp the inevitable demise of their relationship with ListHub. And they must fear that that's going to happen. And I would, too, if I were them. And, the Spencer and the guys at Trulia, and, they're really brilliant folks. They're successful because they deserve to be, because let's just be honest, Realtor.com majorly dropped the ball and allowed Zillow and Trulia to have, basically the dominant position that they're enjoying today. Rupert Murdoch completely changes the rules, and you just got to accept the fact that the guy's not going to spend $1 billion and play nice with the competitors. That isn't what he does. In every major market he enters where he's bought newspapers, what's happened to the competing newspapers? They've gone out of business. Do you really think he's not going to literally try to put Zulia down? Of course he is. Wouldn't you if you just spent $1 billion? I mean, $1 billion? So he's going to do everything in his power to obviously get that dominant position back for Realtor.com. And then in the short run, it's going to be a heyday for agents in the very, very short run as this competition, as the fists are thrown. But in the long run, we're going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. So the thing that you guys need to be accepting is the fact that if you're dependent on buying buyer leads or seller leads, as I know some of you guys get seller leads from Trulia specifically, those days are going to come to an end, because as soon as those guys stop having the listings data from ListHub provided to them, the only other thing they can do, in which they are doing, is go and try to make individual relationships with the MLSs. There have been brilliant people who've worked at Zillow, Bob Bemis I'm thinking of, who've tried to do just that and failed. Now, they have tried to go to the MLSs directly and say, listen, let's cut a special deal for you. Zillow has cut special deals with major real estate brokerages, trying to incentivize them to provide their listings data. In some cases that's worked, in some cases it's not. But as this article, as this excerpt from the Inman today points out, there will be inconsistent data on Zulia because of the fact that they will never have the relationship that Realtor.com has vis-a-vis ListHub for exclusive data from the 800 top MLSs. All News Corp is going to have to do, well, it's not a small thing, it's a big thing, is let the consumers know that the information, and Move.com started to do this too, and they were doing a great job, but it basically let the world know that the data provided on Realtor.com is up to date, is updated every 15 minutes, and that's how often it's updated, is very consistent, is very accurate versus the competitors. So if you were a buyer or a seller, for that matter, with limited time, wouldn't you just naturally migrate towards the website that has the best information, even if the website itself is not as great as, say, for example, the design and the features and the functionality on Zillow and Trulia, and they've done a brilliant job again. But if the listings data is not accurate, even if the website itself is elegant, beautiful, and all their mobile apps and all the rest of the stuff is the best that there is in the industry, if the listings data is not there, consumers aren't going to go there. Eyeballs aren't going to go there. Clicks aren't going to go there. And advertising dollars from you guys are not going to go there. And that is what News Corp and Rupert Murdoch is going to do. Do I have any other reasons to believe this is going to happen? I do. Do I have some inside information which leads me to believe this is going to happen? I do. But I'm not going to share it publicly because of the fact a lot of folks have asked me not to, and I'm going to respect that. So here's what you need to do. If, remember the first question was, if what we're predicting is going to happen happens, what effect would that have on your business? Some of you are going to be like, damn, Tim, I am so sick of you and Julie talking about buying buyer leads. I would never buy buyer leads. People that buy buyer leads are crazy. Okay, well then guess what? You can tune out and we'll talk with you tomorrow because we're all on the same page. But for the other 99% of you who have been seduced into buying buyer leads in the past or buying leads of any variety in the past, you need to realize that that business model is coming to an end, or at the very least, the financial viability of you continuing it is coming to an end. The lead cost itself will become extraordinarily expensive. The quality of the lead will become garbanzo beans. So, Julie, the next part we wrote down is what they can do about it now. So the first point is?
All right, so what to do about it now. Number one, ask yourself if you could no longer depend on Zulia for buyer leads and, in some cases, listing leads, what would you do? If that was cut off, just tomorrow you wake up, no longer have access to it, what would you do?
That's right there. That's a very scary question for a lot of these listeners, okay? Question number 2, is this going to happen is this going to happen what you need to be – okay, sorry, I wrote this down poorly. If this is going to happen, which let's assume it is, what do you need to be doing now in anticipation of it happening? In anticipating of this happening, what actions will you take now? You know what? One of the easiest ways to start that conversation inside your head, obviously, is to request a free coaching call. Free coaching calls for agents.com. Start there. But what we'll have you do on your free coaching call is we would have you start making a list of the things that you're going to stop doing. So, start with the list of things you're going to stop doing so you can make time for the things you are going to do. Julie and I did an interview this morning with a very, very nice gal on behalf of the Florida Association of Realtors. They're doing an article. It doesn't matter. And one of the things that she stated was she's spending a lot of time. I mean, I'm sure Julie remembers. It's all the things that agents are seduced into believing they have to do. Mm-hmm. Her logo, her website, her this, her that, her the other, her this, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then I asked her the question I asked all of you, and I asked you guys on free coaching calls, and I asked all my private coaching clients, if you had to take, in her case it was 5 listings, and I think I gave her 90 days. It may have just been 30 days. I don't remember.
30.
But okay, 30. So if you had to take listeners 5 listings in 30 days, and you get a tax-paid check for $1 million, it's a game show. It's the Tim and Julie Harris $1 Million Challenge, right? 5 listings in 30 days. Some of you, it's like, are you kidding me? I'm taking 5 listings this week. I get it. So maybe for you, the number of listings would be 30. Just get the point here. Don't lose the details. If you had to take 5 listings in 30 days, $1 million, tax paid, how would you do it? So I asked her that question, and you know how she answered it? She was immediate with her answer. She knew exactly what to do.
Yeah. It's impressive, actually.
Yeah, you wouldn't be going to realtor tours unless you were a new agent and your coach told you to. She wouldn't be going to all the other time-wasting things. When the local Yahoo came to town to talk about his, whatever gimmick it was, she wouldn't go to the event. She wouldn't be wasting time trying to run Facebook ads. She wouldn't be wasting time doing all these other things. She didn't even have to think about it. She knew exactly what she had to do. She made a list of the 5 things that she would do to take. And so the question was, okay, why aren't you doing those 5 things? And then there was a nice, uncomfortable pause, which always is good when you're on a free coaching call because it tells you that you've reached the other person. And that's what we focused in on. So, guys, I don't know how else to say this to you. And it's, it is so important that you listen. And point number 3 of what you should do now is you have to start now, don't wait. Assume what we're telling you is going to happen. Assume that everything we're telling you now, it's the old time machine thing that I like to do, again, to help with folks' mindset. We're in a time machine. We've just jumped forward. It's now March of 2015. Julie and I just had our birthdays because we're both Pisces. Okay, so we're celebrating. Yay!
That's awesome.
Or we're doing a radio show, probably on our birthdays. Julie's is on the 12th. I'm on the 9th, right? Yours is on the 12th?
Yes, you got that right.
I'm kidding. All right, so we're doing a radio show. And it's in the future, and you have you have a crystal ball in front of you, and you're looking at your crystal ball, and you're looking. You're able to see basically all the things that happen. That will happen over the next 6 months, based on all the things that happened in the previous 6 months. Right? We're now in a time machine. We're now looking at this crystal ball. You now have the ability to have 100% clarity about what actions you need to be taking now to prepare you for the next 6 months. And if you knew for certain, for sure, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, that what we said is true, that News Corp is going to essentially cut off the listings feed to Zulia, that will result in fewer eyeballs going to Zulia, and that will result in fewer buyer leads to sell, and that will result in a lot of agents suffering because they've never learned how to go after the business themselves. What are you going to do? What would you have wished you would have done if we're talking in March of 2015? Looking back, what actions will you have wished you would have done now? That's what we're asking you to do now. Some of you know exactly what to do. Some of you are confused about what to do. Some of you are right on the fence. You're nervous, you're excited, you're angry, you're frustrated. You have all those emotions, but those emotions are good because on the other side of those emotions are action. Request a free coaching call. freecoachingcallsforagents.com. If you guys are ready to become a coaching client, just go sign up. timandjulieharris.com. Sign up for the advanced or the breakthrough coaching programs. There are no contracts, no strings attached. You guys can sign up on your own. You don't have to have a free coaching call first. We get that question a lot. Just go sign up. Go enroll. If you want to reach one of us directly, CoachTimHarris@gmail.com. This is my private email address, not so private now that I'm announcing it to 50,000 of you. And Julie's is CoachJulieHarris@gmail.com. If you guys are ready finally to take action and take the advantage of this new real estate boom that we are all enjoying, and hopefully you are as well, then you need to be doing something about it. If you're not benefiting from this new real estate boom, it's because you're taking the wrong actions. You're doing the wrong stuff. You're putting stuff in the way of you becoming more successful and accomplishing what you deserve to accomplish. Let us help you accomplish that. So I'm going to say it one more time. Those of you who become dependent on buying buyer leads, those days are coming to an end. Realize, because here's the bottom line. Once News Corp has essentially minimized Trulia and Zulia, which they will do, once News Corp is the only game in town to buy buyer leads, which it will be, and I'm anticipating by mid-2015 that will happen, what do you think they're going to do with their pricing? What do you think they're going to do with basically? Yeah, it's going to be vastly more expensive.
Well,
and then,
Tim, I was just thinking your time machine would be great because it might be a newsflash to some of these guys. Before Zulia existed, there was a lot of real estate deals that were going on back then.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually possible to survive without them. We did it for a really long time.
Well, you know what? You bring up a very interesting point, Julie. There's always been the same number, always in the whole time we've been in the real estate business, roughly the same number of real estate transactions that have happened, right around 5 million, okay? And it happened before Zulia. It'll happen after Zulia. Embrace the fact that this is the beginning of a 7 to 10 year real estate boom. It is. Just accept that. Don't have any more analytical questioning thoughts about that. Once you accept that, once you feel the feelings of the optimism that comes with that, set aside the skepticism, then you need to ask yourself, what can you do now to make the most of this new real estate boom? What should you stop doing now to make the most of this real estate boom? Guys, this is one of those moments in your lives, mine, Julie's, our family, all of your families. This time in our lives is one of those times where we're all going to be looking back and realizing what a magical time this was, what an incredible opportunity it is for us to be knowingly at the beginning of a real estate boom. If you knew you were at the beginning of a real estate boom, those of you who have been in the business long enough, back in the early 2000s, back when the markets were starting to take off, wouldn't you have saved more money? Wouldn't you have accumulated more wealth? Wouldn't you have done things differently? You're there again now. What are you doing about it? If we can help you, request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Joel, is there anything else you'd like to say to these guys?
No, just like what you said, don't wait. Take action now. Your next year has already started. The only question is if you're participating in it or not.
So tomorrow we're going to be doing a radio show on something that's kind of weird, kind of strange, but I know it's on your minds. We're going to be talking about Ebola tomorrow on the radio show and how the Ebola outbreak, that's going to be a global outbreak, how that is going to affect your real estate business and how you can prepare for it. This is not a doom and gloom call. We're not expecting all of us to be living in caves or wearing spaceman outfits. It's a reality call. It's a check-in because, we're entering into the time of year when people are going to be taking time off. They're going to be watching more CNN and more Fox News and more MSNBC and more of all that media garbage. And everywhere in the media, everyone's talking about the Ebola, whatnot. So we're going to I've been reading about this, and someone who works for us is basically, I call them somewhat of a genius. We're going to give you guys the actual analytical, statistical, whatnot, and what to expect, what's going to happen, and really so you can mentally and emotionally prepare, and also then you can pass that same information along to some of your clients that might be over-internalizing it. Because the problem with that type of thinking is it slows people down. If someone's worried that tomorrow is not going to be at least as good as today was, if not better, then they're not going to take actions to improve their lives. And that's true with your business. That's true with your potential clients. No one's going to want to move up in their house if they're waiting for the other shoe to fall in the economy. That's the phase we've just gotten out of for the past 7 or 10 years, depending on your perspective with this real estate crash. So we're going to be talking about a very strange topic tomorrow, Ebola, but again, something relevant, I think, so we can keep all of our mindsets on track so we can make the most of this new real estate boom. If you need us for anything, what do you guys do? freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Have a fantastic day.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.